Good evening. It's June 9th, 2025. It's Monday. We're in Studio 6A, and it's my pleasure and true honor to be sitting and chatting with Mr. John J. Jeckovich. We ran across some very unusual footage today, and we're going to play it and listen to Mr. Jeckovich's comments if he has any. Mr. Jeckovich was from Company H, the 2nd Battalion of the 291st Regiment of the 75th Infantry Division during World War II. Mr. Jeckovich lives by the motto, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. How are you feeling today, Mr. Jeckovich?
Very good, very good.
You look nice in your new jeans and your gray sweater.
Yeah.
Did you have a nice dinner?
Yeah.
Okay. What we got here is something that's very rare. It's footage we came across, and this is the 75th Infantry Division, which you're in.
Yeah.
So when we play this, I'm not going to do the talking. I'll let you do the talking, and you tell me if things you recognize or anyone you recognize in it.
All right.
You critique the whole thing. Please start it now.
That's the 289th. That was the 291st.
Yeah, but still the 75th Division.
Yeah.
Okay, and how many soldiers in the division?
30,000.
How many?
30.
30, okay. Here, let's see.
Look.
This is a real McCoy. Anything you got to say, you say.
Oh, well, there's the snow.
Looking familiar?
Yeah.
Did you have the proper clothing?
No.
What kind of clothing did you have, Mr. Jeckovich?
Same thing I got now.
And that's where you acquired your frostbite?
Well, till they got it for us.
And listen, is that where you got frostbite?
Oh, yeah.
Does your frostbite still bother you?
Oh, yeah.
Look at the snow. Does this all bring you back memories?
Oh, yeah, that's snow, boy.
Say anything that brings back your memories. The Jeeps getting stuck.
Yeah. There's the Jeeps.
I'll listen, you talk.
How deep was that snow, John?
Huh?
How deep would that snow get?
Probably up to your knee.
This is live. This is actual. This is no... Any comments you have? Well, listen, look at those trees. Unbelievable. Beautiful trees. Any minute. Is that the tripod for the machine gun?
Yeah.
Yeah? Look at that.
They're all taking a little break.
Looks like they're taking a smoke break. Look familiar?
No.
Look at it, they're all taking a smoke break. A side note here, the Red Cross supplied all the young teenage soldiers with packs of cigarettes as candy bars.
Yeah.
And look, they're all non-filtered cigarettes.
Yeah.
Out of boredom, and maybe they thought this was their last chance, they all smoked, right?
Yeah.
You didn't smoke.
No.
Tell us anything you see that we would have to give us some new information on.
What's that doing the snow, John? What is that?
What?
What's that back there? What's that machine?
That's a tank.
What kind of tank is it, John?
It's an army tank.
Looks like it has a snowplow on it. Did you see snowplows on them?
I didn't see one.
Okay.
How cold would it get there, John?
Huh?
How cold did it get there?
Probably 0.
All right.
So there you go. Did that bring back great memories?
Yeah.
That was the actual footage of the 75th Division.
There we
World
go.
War II, 1945.
1945.
Oh.
What do you think of that, John? And that's it for that. So, there you go. It was cold there, wasn't it, John? Yeah, pretty interesting, huh?
Yeah.
Well, We haven't caught up on the reading in your book, so let me put a couple pages
Okay,
down.
okay,
Then we'll go to the questions.
okay.
But in order to open up my laptop, I need your passcode.
42965.
And that's your dog tag number,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So, the book is how many pages?
849.
Okay, we ran that through once already, and now we're the second time around, and we're on chapter 6, page 138. It's Home on Furlough. That was the first furlough you got, and you're saying farewell to Ann.
Yeah,
First furlough you got, you went to Niagara Falls, New York to see your mother and your sister,
yeah,
and then the last half of it, you took a couple-day bus ride or train ride to Owensboro, Kentucky.
yeah.
Is that about where we stand?
That's about it. That's about it, yeah.
Okay, let me read it a little bit. We'll put a couple pages under our belt. She knew I was pleased to rearrange the pictures more as a gesture than an act of perfection. On the outside wall of the large oak desk, which looked out of a large double-sash window into the side yard below, the desk was neat and orderly, not obtrusive, but held the essentials for studies, for a studious person. The final inner wall housed several large shelves, which were overflowing with books and magazines. I stopped to look at the various titles. Many were familiar to me: Tolstoy's, Freud, Somerset,
Yeah,
and others. Anne watched me as I peeked at the array of books and was pleased that I took such an interest in them. I commented that this was one subject we have never discussed, the books we had read. Well, you have an interesting story about books. You were on what was called the Book of the Month Club as a boy.
yeah.
Tell us how that worked out.
Well, they give a review of the books that they sold that month, and you take it. If you want one book, you take it. If you don't want them, you just refuse them.
And how did you get your books delivered?
Mail.
And what was your secret to get the mail?
I got the mail first,
But before who?
before my mother.
Why'd you have to beat your mother to?
I was spending too much money.
I see. So your mother was upset about the Book of the
Yeah.
Month Club.
Does anybody know where my mother is now?
Yeah,
Where?
she's long gone.
Huh?
Yeah, she passed away.
She passed away?
1989.
She did? Oh,
Yeah. So your book, so your Book of the Month Club, you had to pretty much hide it, right?
yeah.
And then where would you read your book at?
In the garage.
Okay, okay. Okay, this is about Anne now. She smiled at the large chair that furnished the desk and began toying with the various objects on the desk. I walked over to her, leaned over, and kissed her, this is Anne, saying that I loved everything about her. She took my hand, placed it on her cheek, and said she would remember this day forever. A tear began to form at the corner of her eye, but she valiantly brushed it aside, reached down and kissed it away. Now we're speaking about Anne in Owensboro, Kentucky, right?
Yeah.
This was beyond my expectations, since I conjured up thoughts of riding around from place to place. Of course, I should have known Anne would do something like this, and in a way I had half expected it. This was more to my liking. I soon adjusted to it, and I enjoyed it tremendously. Anne walked over to the canopied bed, sat on the edge of it with her legs crossed. She asked how I liked the bed. I said it was great and went over to sit next to her. That moment we were both lying across the bed and I was kissing her. I began to By then I marched, I kissed her hand, pick it up, missed a couple paragraphs, but that's okay. I kissed her hand and said, in another second I would have stopped it, since you were more out of control than I was. She was once again stated to move her body, no. Let's see here. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Ann got up, walked over to me, put her arms around my waist. She just suggested I go downstairs when she changed and did something to her face. I turned, kissed her, and said I would remember her room for a long time. She said she was thinking of the same thoughts and how her room had taken on a distinct and different dimension. I sat in the kitchen waiting for Ann to come up from the upstairs. I collected my thoughts and emotion. I concluded that I had touched upon a great mystery of life, the joy and principle of the body principle, the joy and pleasure of the body principle. What you accomplished with it was a direct proportion to your mental and social conditioning. It was true, as I read in several books at different times, the environment was a great contributing factor in your social mental outlook. But then again, I suppose one got conditioned to the environment, no matter how pleasing and contradictory it was, and becoming ultimately another contributing fabric in a mix of life. Ann walked into the kitchen and she looked radiant in a bright red dress and white surround collar and a wide black belt around her slender waist. I told her she looked beautiful. She thanked me and began to prepare lunch for us. I told her not to bother and we would go somewhere, but she insisted she wanted to do it. She was very cordial and I loved every part of her. Let's see. I looked in amazement. It was like, if you really want, and your mother would not object. She replied, don't be silly. Don't be silly. I planned it this way when I first knew you were getting a furlough. How did you know I would come back early? I blurted out. And if so, how could you be so sure? I was thinking in terms of coming back a week early, and Ann was right in her thinking of terms and spending my eternal furlough here. She smiled and said that she would be partly right insofar as I assumed I spend my entire furlough here, and I looked at her affectionately and told her that she was a convincing female huntress. After we cleaned up the kitchen, Ann took me to the living room. We sat down on the couch holding hands. No TV then, right?
No.
No. I loved her holding my hands, and they were soft and well-formed, and they gave me such pleasure in caressing them and rubbing my fingers over her nails. Okay, we at least got 2 pages in our belts over the home on furlough, and you're giving farewell to Ann. So I'm going to put this down here, and we do have a lot of questions. You feel up to asking questions?
Yeah.
And answer them? All right, let's see what we got here. Do I have a minute count, please?
$16.
So that was an interesting part of that chapter 6, where Mr. Jeckovich took half of his furlough to see his mother and sister in Niagara Falls, New York, and then he took a train and a bus to go to Owensboro and say farewell to Ann Mahoney at Owensboro, Kentucky. Because after that visit, you're going into the war.
Yeah, overseas. I'm going overseas, yeah.
And you took a troop ship to get overseas, right?
Yeah.
How was that?
That was a luxury liner converted to a troop ship.
Was it very crowded?
Yeah, it's stacked up 3 high, about 4 high.
Oh, wow. Were you on the top bunk?
No, I was in the middle.
How was the food on the ship?
It was lousy. It was a limey ship.
And why was it lousy?
Greasy.
Oh, okay. So this is the second time around, as I mentioned earlier, and we have more pages to read on chapter 6, but the idea is he's saying goodbye to Ann, and he says he'll call her whenever the war is over with, because you can't call from the front line, right?
No.
And Mr. Jeckovich did keep his promise. He did call her. But it was 80 years later, right?
Yeah.
So Mr. Jeckovich rang her, believe it or not. Hard to believe, but 80 years later, she answered the phone.
Right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
Yeah.
And you remember as a 19 or 20-year-old girl, and now you got on the phone. It was so damn easy. I never heard of such a thing. She answered the phone, and how did she sound?
Feeble, yeah. Feeble,
Yeah, 90s, mid-90s, yeah. And then what'd you do after that? You took your picture?
So, no, I talked, we sat at the couch and talked for a while, yeah.
Yeah, but then after that, you removed her picture from your office?
I took the picture off the wall, put my mother's picture up.
I see. So after that conversation, you did call her back as promised, but it was 80 years later, and she's in her mid-90s by then, and you were also. And she sounded feeble, so we removed her picture from your office wall, which you could see the discoloration and the paint, because it lay there for so long. And what'd you do, wrap it up and put in your cabinet or something?
Put it in the filing cabinet.
Uh-huh. And then you put your mother's back up.
Yeah.
And that's how we keep on reverting back to the book. Their mother's sons, because Mr. Jeckovich took care of his mother from his age 11 to her demise at age 89. And he lived in the same house at 3063 Orleans Avenue, Niagara Falls, New
You
York.
say my mother passed away 2 years ago?
89, many years.
Yeah.
And so the situation was this. Mr. Jeckovich and his wife Delphine lived upstairs, and his mother lived downstairs. And it was a beautiful arrangement because your mother was always worried about being lonely.
Yeah.
And Delphine really took care of her.
Oh, yeah.
They went everywhere.
Yeah, they were good friends. They
They were
good
two
friends.
peas in a pod, right?
Yeah.
What were some of the places they went to?
Mostly Canada.
And what were they doing in Canada, Mr. Jeckovich?
Yeah, they used to go get the meat market, go to the farm stores there.
Yeah.
They like Canada.
And you taught your wife how to drive, right?
Yeah.
12.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Wow. That is so interesting. Was your wife a good driver?
Yeah, she was a good driver. Well, after I taught her on the Volkswagen.
Oh, wow.
She had to shift over the gears.
Manual shift on the floor.
Clutch, yeah.
Did she grind them?
Huh?
Did she
Well,
grind
for
them?
the beginning, because she's confused how to shift.
Wow. How was that heat during the winter in a Volkswagen?
Huh?
How was heat in a Volkswagen?
Tight.
Would you have to drive it very fast to get the heat?
Yeah.
Tell us a funny story when your mother and Delphine went to Buffalo and bought furniture on a snow day.
Yeah, and put the stuff on top. They bought a table or something, and had the salesman put the thing on top of the chair, on top of the hood of the car.
And they had to run with the windows down to keep it tied, right? And you have to go about 90 miles an hour in a Volkswagen to blow out any heat.
Yeah.
So you were home at the time when they arrived.
Yeah.
And what did you say?
I said, where have you guys been? He said, well, it was hard driving. Well, it was snow. They didn't plow the streets or nothing.
So what did you think about the furniture tied on the roof?
Well, he tied it good. He put a big blanket on top of the car.
Were you surprised to see it tied on top of the roof?
Yeah.
So I guess you were the one that had to take it down, right?
Yeah.
And where'd you take it to?
But
Who got the table or the piece of furniture? Who would it go to?
it goes to my mother.
And did she really like it?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I could just imagine that little Volkswagen with that big piece of furniture on it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. And your mother really enjoyed that furniture, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Why'd they primarily go to Canada and shop?
Well, they liked it. Or they thought the meat was better, and they liked shopping over there.
Did
Well,
you?
the Main Street and Fall Street was bad here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not as good as over in Canada.
So did you think the meat was better?
I don't know. I don't think so. No.
I see.
Probably got the same place.
Did you have to pay duty?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Tell us a funny story about one time you're bringing your mother back from the dentist in Canada. What happened there?
They stopped us at the gate and he said, got it in to declare. And I said, I don't. And then she asked my mother said, oh, I've got my teeth. And he said, well, clean it out, please.
So you said we had nothing to declare because you weren't taking teeth, right?
Yeah.
And so would your mother just volunteer?
Yeah, well, I sent her to go in the house and pay a fine.
Wow. And what'd she say when she got back in the car?
She was mad.
Wow. Yeah. Jeez. I guess she was just proud of her white teeth.
Yeah.
And that was all they could say, right? Wow. But on the food, did you have to pay a duty?
How much I had to pay?
No, did you have to pay a duty on the groceries you would buy there?
No.
That was duty free, right? Wow. I guess that was very simple back then, crossing the border.
Oh, yeah, there was not the rigmarole there
It's not like today.
Yeah.
Run full background checks on you, going into Canada, tear apart your car, and then run a complete criminal history on you. And let's just say, if you have a DUI as a teenager in the 70s, they'll call you undesirable and they won't let you come.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you spend a lot of time in Canada, huh?
Yeah.
How is Canada now in Niagara Falls, Ontario, compared to Niagara Falls?
Niagara Falls is dead. Niagara Falls is done. Canada's thriving.
Canada's thriving.
Yeah.
Who would ever think this day and age that they have so much business in Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada, that they still have these dinosaurs called souvenir shops? They have several of them still, located on Clifton Hill.
Yeah.
They have beautiful tulip gardens and clocks that are made out of roses, and just the streets are immaculate. The stores are beautiful.
Yeah.
3 towers, 5-star hotels, 5-star restaurants.
Yeah. Everything's neat and clean.
Very clean.
Yeah.
Didn't your buddy Clyde Cooch used to go to Canada quite a bit?
That what?
Huh?
7.5.
Didn't your buddy Clyde Cooch used to go to Canada a lot?
Clyde?
Clyde.
He had a girlfriend over there, yeah.
Right. Whatever happened to Clyde? Because I know he was living in very inexpensive motels.
Well, he lived in the Air Force base. He had a little room there, just a room.
What happened to him? I thought he had one time a nice house.
Huh?
I thought one time he had a nice house. Whatever happened to him? How did he get these?
No, he didn't. I mean, he lived on 27th Street.
But he had a house then.
Yeah.
How did he end up in these?
House was modest, real modest.
Yeah, but how did he end up in this hotel rooms or these motel rooms?
Well, he's still working. He's still working at Kimberly.
I wonder what he did with all his money.
Well, he spent it over in Canada.
Yeah. Didn't one time you hired him to work at the laundromat for you?
Yeah, he never showed up.
What was his excuse?
Huh?
What was his excuse why he didn't show up?
He fell asleep. Fell asleep.
So you hired him to work for you and he never did much work.
No.
How about,
We got a couple of things in. This is from the Brown family out of Sacramento, California. They know that he likes to watch.
There's the bookcase, yeah.
this is
hold
from
that
built
up.
by the Brown family out of Sacramento, California.
Sacramento, California.
They know
yeah.
you like to read your magazines and your newspapers.
Huh?
And
Hold
they
it up
gave
for
that
the camera.
for a gift.
Yeah.
That's the Brown family out of
Hold that
Sacramento.
up. They thought you could put your books in there,
That's
or
a
your
good place
magazines.
to put on your desk.
Yeah.
And they want you to put your magazines or your newspapers
Yeah.
in. Okay, pull it away from them. And what else?
Where did this come from?
A Brown family sent that to you.
From Sacramento, California. And this one is from Captain Lenhart out of north of Atlanta, I think. What's that town north of Atlanta?
Okay, this is from Captain Lenhart from Cumming, Georgia.
He said he was in the Air Force, but he knows how much you like medals.
Yeah. Captain Lenhart from Cumming, Georgia. That's north of Atlanta, I believe. And he
And he
sent you that.
appreciates everything that you do on this.
These are regular listeners, and they're always giving thumbs up, and they like what you have to say.
And that's a special St. Michael,
Medal,
St.
medal,
Michael's on
yeah.
the back of that, I think. St. Michael.
What are you looking at? Let me read it out loud here.
Yeah,
What's the minutes?
5.
Yeah,
Well, I'll send them all out, thank you notes.
yeah,
Let me
yeah,
see
cinnamon
what the
roll,
medal
yeah,
says.
Read that there.
Okay, this is a U.S. Army medal, United States Army, St. Michael on the back. Show your support for those who served past and present. And let's see the back.
Yep.
Oh, it's got the St. Michael on the back. That's extremely
It's a
nice.
pewter chain and pewter,
yeah.
Yeah, 24-inch.
nice.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Captain.
put that in the door someplace,
Yeah,
yeah.
Captain Lenhart.
Captain Lenhart from Cumming, Georgia. Thank you very much.
I'll put that on
And
the
that little
door.
bookshelf you could put on your desk and put your magazines in.
Yeah, that holder, yeah.
And things like that. We'll be soon celebrating the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Army.
Oh, yeah,
That's right around the corner.
yeah.
That's right around the corner.
4.
Yeah. Mr. Jeckovich said he blinked his eyes at 20. And now he's 100 years old, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Mr. Jeckovich was born in 1925, and now we're in 2025, we'll be knocking on the door of 100. And when Mr. Jeckovich was born in 1925, things were different. It was simpler life, easier life, more patriotic life. Gasoline was 7 cents a gallon.
Yeah.
You fill up your whole car for $1.50.
No TV.
No TV. You just sat around the radio.
The
with your
radio,
family listening.
small brown radio, yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful cars, new cars.
Yeah. Listen to the Shadow.
Shadow. Yeah.
The Grand Central Station.
Yeah. Yeah. Brand new cars, nice cars,
Yeah.
$400 or $500, and nice livable houses, spacious houses, were $2,000.
Yeah.
So things were exactly very, very similar then. And during World War II, we had 16,400,000 young men and women who participated in the war, happily. And now, Mr. Jeckovich, which is frontline combat infantry, we only have about 6,000 of these guys left, probably 5,000.
Yeah.
We're losing them at a rate of 150 a day. So if you have any questions for Mr. John J. Jeckovich, just text him. He loves to hear from you. He'll hold a conversation with you, or he'll just tell me what to say in a text return.
You're gonna put that 75th on, yeah?
Yeah, in a minute. And then you can text Mr. Jeckovich at 407-366-0000. Text Mr. Jeckovich at 407-366-0000. I was looking at some of your documents when you got drafted. When you got drafted, you were 187 pounds.
Huh?
When you got drafted, you were 187 pounds. How much you weigh now?
Well, my mother fed me too good.
Well, your mother was a great cook.
Yeah.
That lady was a Polish cook, and she cooked everything under the sun.
You know, she was a cook in Kresge. She was a cook in,
Yeah,
she cooked for Dr. Wright too.
yeah. Tell us the story when you used to work at Kresge's. Your mother worked the kitchen, and she didn't want you to sit at the lunch cafe bar. Where'd she tell you to
Put you
eat?
down in the basement.
She didn't want you to make a mess, right?
Yeah.
But wasn't her sandwiches really good?
Oh, yeah.
So you're 187 when you got drafted.
Yeah.
How much you weigh now?
151.
You have a lot of catching up to do.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
But the interesting fact is many people, when they get older, they get bigger. Your case is not true. You could take your military uniform from 1944 and it fits you loosely, which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely wonderful thing. I need some minutes here. Also, an interesting point,
32 seconds.
when you left combat, you were beat up, shot up, bombed, trench foot, frostbite. But when you left the war, when it was finally over, they gave you a mustering out pay of $300.
Yeah, once a month.
Once a month, they give you $100.
Yeah,
And then the colonel signed the documents here where he gave you $28 to travel home on.
yeah.
Boy, how things are different then.
Bus fare.
Bus
Yeah.
fare.
Bus fare.
Bus
Yeah.
fare, $28 to go back to Niagara
Yeah.
Falls.